Ever wondered how the pros navigate the 64 squares of a chessboard? Well, it all starts with understanding the rules. Chess, a game of strategy and skill, is governed by a set of rules that have been honed over centuries. These rules dictate not only how the pieces move, but also how the game progresses and ultimately, how it is won or lost. But there's more to chess than just the basic moves. There are special rules, strategic elements, and nuances that can turn the tide of the game. These are the aspects that transform chess from a game of mere movement to a game of intricate strategy. Today we'll explore these rules in detail, taking you from the basic structure of the chessboard, right through to the dramatic finale of check and checkmate. So whether you're a seasoned player or a complete novice, there's something to learn. Ready to dive in? Let's start with the basics. The battlefield for a game of chess is the chessboard. But, do you know how to set it up correctly? Let's delve into the details. The chessboard is a square divided into 64 squares, alternating between light and dark colors. It's important to position the board correctly, with a light square at the right-hand corner. Now let's populate this battlefield with our armies. Each player has 16 pieces, 1 king, 1 queen, 2 rooks, 2 knights, 2 bishops, and 8 pawns. The pieces are arranged in 2 rows. On the back row, from left to right, place the rook, knight, bishop, queen, king, bishop, knight, and rook. The second row is filled entirely with pawns. Remember, the queen's color always matches her square. So a white queen goes on the white square and the black queen on the black square. Setting up the chessboard correctly is crucial. It sets the stage for the entire game, and a wrong setup can lead to confusion and errors. Now that we know how to set up the board, let's move on to how the pieces move. Each chess piece moves in a unique way. This uniqueness is what gives chess its depth and complexity. Let's take a closer look at the movement of some of these pieces. We'll start with the smallest yet crucial piece, the pawn. Pawns move forward 1 square at a time, but there's a twist. They capture diagonally, not straight ahead. This unique movement often catches new players off guard. Also, each pawn has the chance to move 2 squares forward on its first move, and only its first move. Now let's shift our attention to the horse-headed piece, the knight. Knights have a rather unusual movement pattern. They move in an L shape, 2 squares in one direction, and then 1 square perpendicular to that. This unique movement allows the knight to jump over other pieces, the only piece in the game with this ability. This makes the knight a tricky piece to predict and a powerful tool in your arsenal. Next up, we have the bishop. Bishops move diagonally across the board for as many squares as they like. The interesting thing about the bishops is that one starts on a light square and the other on a dark square. This means each bishop sticks to its own color throughout the game. This limitation is balanced by their long-range striking ability, making them valuable pieces in your strategy. To capture an opponent's piece, both knights and bishops move to the square occupied by that piece and replace it. It's important to remember that other than the knight, pieces cannot jump over other pieces. So their movement is limited by what lies in their path. That's how pawns, knights, and bishops move. But what about the rooks, queen, and king? The rook, queen, and king are powerful pieces on the chessboard. Understanding their movement is crucial to your strategy. Let's unpack these movements, starting with the rook. The rook is like a castle tower, standing tall and moving straight. It can glide across the board horizontally or vertically, any number of squares. Its strength lies in its ability to control long stretches of the board. When capturing, the rook takes the place of the opponent's piece, but remember, it can't jump over other pieces. Next, we have the queen, the powerhouse of the chessboard. She combines the strength of the rook and the bishop, moving horizontally, vertically, or diagonally across any number of squares. Her versatility makes her incredibly valuable, but be careful not to lose her too early in the game. Like the rook, the queen captures by occupying the square of an opponent's piece. Finally, we come to the king, the most important piece on the board. While not as mobile as other pieces, the king can move 1 square in any direction. This might not seem like much, but it's enough to keep him on his toes and out of check. The king captures in the same way as he moves by taking the square of an opponent's piece. But remember, the king's safety is your ultimate goal. In chess, understanding the movement of your pieces is only the start. It's how you use these movements, how you weave them into your strategy, that truly shapes the game. And while each piece has its limitations, remember that even a pawn can take down a queen if it finds the right opportunity. Now that we know how all the pieces move, let's look at some special rules. Chess isn't just about moving pieces around a board. There are special rules that can dramatically change the course of a game. Let's delve into some of these intriguing facets of chess: the rules of castling, en passant, and promotion. Castling is a unique rule that allows you to do two things in a single move: protect your king and develop your rook. It's the only time in a game where you can move two pieces at once. But remember, there are a few conditions to be met before you can castle. Neither the king nor the rook can have moved before. The king cannot be in check, and there must be no pieces between the king and the rook. Strategic use of castling can provide a safe haven for your king and a powerful position for your rook. Next up is the en passant capture, a rule that might seem a little unusual at first. It's a special pawn capture that can only occur when a pawn moves 2 squares from its starting position and lands beside an opponent's pawn. The opponent then has the opportunity to capture the first pawn as if it had only moved 1 square forward. A well-timed en passant can disrupt your opponent's pawn structure and open up the board. Finally, we have promotion. This is when a pawn reaches the other side of the board and is promoted to any other piece except a king. Most players choose to promote their pawn to a queen, as it's the most powerful piece on the board. But sometimes, under certain tactical situations, promoting to a knight, bishop, or rook could be more advantageous. Promotion adds an extra layer of strategy to the endgame, giving the humble pawn a chance to turn the tide. Those are some of the special rules in chess, but there's one more rule we need to talk about: check and checkmate. The ultimate goal of chess is to checkmate your opponent's king, but what does that mean exactly? Well, in chess a king is in check when it is under attack by at least one of the opponent's pieces. This means the king is in danger and must move out of check on the next move. On the other hand, we have checkmate. This is the moment every chess player strives for. Checkmate occurs when the king is in check, but it has no legal moves to escape the attack. In other words, the game is over and the player who has checkmated the opponent's king is the winner. It's vital to always keep an eye on your king's safety, and at the same time, look for opportunities to put your opponent's king in checkmate. Understand that in chess, the king is priceless. You can sacrifice almost any piece if it leads to checkmate, because once the king is cornered, the game is won. And there you have it. Those are the basic rules of chess. Chess is a complex game, but understanding the rules is the first step to becoming a great player. Throughout this video, we've delved into the intricacies of the chessboard and setup, explored the unique movements of the pieces, and highlighted some special rules that can add an extra layer of strategy to your game. We've also clarified the concepts of check and checkmate, critical elements that can make or break your success on the board. Remember, the king is your most valuable piece, but each piece from the humble pawn to the mighty queen has its own role to play. As you navigate the 64 squares of the chessboard, be mindful of the rules, but also embrace the endless possibilities each game presents. Now that you know the rules, it's time to put your knowledge to the test. Good luck, and remember, every master was once a beginner.